When restaurant people are looking to find a location for the restaurant, they look for the obvious things. The first thing is high visibility, something within their budget range, good foot traffic, etc. Now, I recall years ago when I was doing hotel and restaurant management, our marketing lecturer said, when looking for a place to set up a new restaurant, set up a place near McDonald's. It sounds pretty crazy at the time. I'm like, because unless you're opening a hamburger joint doesn't really sound like a sensible idea. But the general idea is, well, basically, if a restaurant is doing well in a certain position, there's a good chance a similar type of restaurant will do pretty well too. And of the same standard, same quality, all things being equal. Now, I've talked about things to look at, details, costings, and setups and that sort of stuff in other videos, and I'll be doing more videos in the future. But specifically today, I'll talk about using AI to find a good location for your restaurant. Now, it's only part of the exercise, but it's a good general way of starting off to see where some hidden nuggets may be. Now, what I've done here, this works any city, any suburb, any town in the world. And basically, especially if you've got similar demographics in one city to another. So you can compare the statistics and what's successful in one particular city or town or region and compare it to another one. Now today, this could be whether it be in Australia, USA, Canada, Germany, South Africa, anywhere in the world. It should give you a pretty good idea anywhere. And today, with all these AI tools, it's never been easier. Okay, now what I'll do now is I'll go through, and for this exercise, we'll go into a AI program called Perplexity. There's various other programs you can use, but Perplexity is a good one. There's ChatGPT, there's Google have got one now. I've got this Claude. There's new ones come all the time, but generally I'll use ChatGPT. Now, I'll start off with a good example is if I'm looking to move from one city to the next. So you could be coming from maybe from Sydney to Melbourne. And so what you do is possibly do this exercise in one city and compare it to another with similar demographics. Let's start now. Now, for this exercise, we'll use Melbourne, and suppose I'm looking to start an Italian restaurant. Good idea. I've worked in Italian restaurants, for example, and I really want to open an Italian restaurant in Melbourne. The question is, where do I start? What's a good place to set up a good Italian restaurant? Obviously, you look around, you see what places are doing well, what they're doing, etc. Let's start off now. Okay, now, how many Italian restaurants are there in Melbourne? So what I've done here, okay, let's start. Now we're doing a deep research. This is a add-on for Perplexity, and it takes a little while because it's called deep research, and it's giving us a good idea of what it is. So it's going through all the files, and okay, here we are. Now it tells us there's 574 Italian restaurants in Melbourne as of January 23rd, 25. So we know that's how many restaurants in Melbourne, and we're getting further insights now. Okay, now it goes through the locations and the type of restaurants are around. For example, there's budget-friendly options, 32%, mid-range establishments, 45%, premium dining, 23%. Now it also continues on. The digital presence is on Facebook, 321 profiles. So there's quite a few restaurants not on Facebook. There's things like TikTok, LinkedIn, that sort of thing. Then it goes back through the situation with different restaurants. Pellegrini's since 54, Waiters Club since 1940, and this other one since 1950s. Now it goes through the different areas. The Central Business District, 38, obviously busy area. Inner suburbs of East Melbourne and Carlton, premium destination. And it names a restaurant with 4.7 rating. West Melbourne and that's for a restaurant here. And it goes for coastal areas, St Kilda and South Bank, tourist-focused operations. That's very important to know. So tourist-focused operations, obviously, they would do a different type of marketing to what a locally based restaurant would do. We'll talk about that in a moment later on in this video. And we'll continue on. Consumer behavior. That's the ratings there. It goes through the emerging regional specialization, and it tells you which ones what they're doing. It goes for the employment situation, the hybrid models, restaurants, expanded takeout capabilities, goes through sustainability items, etc. Now, the next question would be, is that once we got that, we know there's 574 restaurants in Melbourne. We'll go into deeper now. We'll follow on and ask it, which suburbs have the most Italian restaurant? Okay, now, we've discussed it in brief. Let's go in more detail now. Which suburbs have got the most Italian restaurants? Doing a deep research, this takes time. It's really going to a lot of different files, etc. But we need to know where the concentration is to see where all the customers may be. Again, whether it be tourist areas, CBD areas, here we go. Outlines areas like the CBD, East Melbourne, Carlton, West Melbourne, St Kilda, South Bank. And it specifically mentions suburbs of Carlton and St Kilda have the significant number of Italian restaurants due to their cultural significance and popularity. Now we're going to statistics now. It's searching the statistics. Again, this takes a little while. It's still searching now. Now the CBD, it says here, has 38%. As I mentioned before, East Melbourne, Carlton, West Melbourne, and coastal suburbs of St Kilda and South Bank are also identified as possible. Now it goes through the distribution again. Now it's looking for articles to provide a clear ranking of Melbourne by suburbs Italian restaurants. Now here it goes through the core Italian dining hubs. Firstly, it mentions that Carlton and Lygon Street is a historic epicenter. For example, Lygon Street corridor hosts 42 Italian restaurants. It names the top ones there. Then it goes to down here, Melbourne CBD at 68 Italian restaurants, and it notes the main ones there. And then it goes through the East Melbourne premium dining destination, the affluent area, as 14 high-end Italian restaurants, including the Roccella and Il Duca. And it continues on with South Yarra, 23, and it continues on to the west, 18 in Melbourne, West Melbourne and Footscray, and it continues on with coastal zones characterised by St Kilda and South Bank. Now we go through the demographic and economic drivers, migration patterns. For example, in the Wattle C local government area, there are 27,879 Italian ancestry residents, supporting 9 venues. In Moorland, 25,653, sustaining 14 restaurants. So when you divide those two, you would think that there's less venues and high population in Whittlesea, where Moorland has got less descendants and 14 restaurants. So that we may think conclusion number one, maybe there's a possibility of a gap in the market there for another Italian restaurant there, that type. Then you've got things like price, etc. Let's look at other questions. Let's go and ask now. The main one we'll say is, the main hub is Lygon Street. So we'll go with Carlton. Now, let's see what the population of breakdown of Carlton would be, for example. So population of each particular area. So let's see how is the population related to the amount of restaurants in the area. Again, it's going through deep research. And we had the example before where there was the two areas one area had smaller population, but more restaurants, and the area with a larger population had less restaurants. That's where we're looking for gaps in the marketplace. Now we start here, we mentioned again Carlton. There's 21,000 376 residents in 2023, the last statistics there. Now, then you go on to other significant area locations: Melbourne CBD, East Melbourne, South Yarra, West Melbourne, Footscray, St Kilda, South Bank, Moonee Ponds, Ladle, Brunswick, Richmond. Now, so population here, again, it compares Carlton with the CBD, which has only got a population of 10,119. But then again, the Melbourne CBD, obviously, got workers there, you've got retail, you've got tourists. So that's a false figure. In other areas, you may find it, here we are here, you've got East Melbourne, 4,896. And then we continue on down here. Okay, here we continue on here. This is a good indication here. We've got Carlton, East Melbourne, and South Yarra. Okay, now we've got demographic situation. Now, again, we go to Carlton, which seems to be the most highly populated area for Italian restaurants. 39.1% born in Australia, mostly Chinese, Indian. Then it goes to Melbourne CBDs, the main age group, Melbourne CBD North, rental, which may not be relevant. Then we continue on to age group of West Melbourne, Western District, that's irrelevant, under 5 years and not restaurateurs. And it goes through the density gradients. So we know how many per square kilometre, I should say. Carlton is very highly densely populated, which is almost as much as the city, which is 15,471 persons per kilometre. And we go all the way to West Melbourne, which is half to a third of the density of Carlton. Okay. And then we've got a conclusion here, which gives you a broad idea of where the population is. Now, let's go to details. Carlton has been earmarked as a main area for having a restaurant. Let's look at the nationality breakdown for Carlton. Again, this is taking a bit of a while. It's got to do a lot of thinking. It's going for a lot of hundreds, if not thousands of documents to find out all this information. Now, this is a census, a recent one. Now, most are born in Australia. Then it goes followed by China, India, Malaysia, Vietnam, UK. Now, this obviously Italians aren't part of it there, but you go through the history that there was a high level of Italians in the area previously. And let's have a look at the common languages or the country of birth distribution, how it's changed over the years in Carlton. Now, we look at the evolution of Carlton's migration patterns. Here we are. The early foundations, you got the Italian dominance. In the 25% population in 1960 were Italian. There is certainly the influence of the Italian restaurants has been influenced strongly for the last 50, 60 years or so, as the migration was very high in those days. And it's got a reputation of being an Italian area. For example, like you've got other areas, like for example, Murrayville was a very Greek area in Sydney, but now it's changing. It's more Asian now, but it's still got a reputation of being a Greek place, even though it's not many Greeks live in the area. But very interesting. So basically, look at Carlton is popular with Italian restaurants because of the history. Everyone relates it to being an area for Italian restaurants. So basically, you look at what the area's got reputation for. So obviously, Italian restaurants are doing well in that area and other areas mentioned there. Then you go through that area, look at them, look who's doing well, who's not doing well, and then see how they're getting the customers. Is it more of the locals going there? Is it more of the tourists going there? Look at the Facebook pages. Have they got a Facebook page? Are they advertising in Facebook? You can work out not only they have a social aspect in Facebook, as in the latest news, which people read, or what has it been growing off over the years. Are they spending any money on advertising on Facebook in the business section? There's various ways of looking at it. Are they looking at maybe Google AdWords to get people? Have they got a presence in Google Business? Use software like SEMrush, Ahrefs, etc. Those sort of programs can give you an idea of where they are advertising, how they're advertising, and what the advertising material is. So it gives you a general idea. But interesting how So maybe the population is rising. There's been a lot of restaurants, Italian restaurants in places like Carlton. The reason being because of historical aspect. It's been known as being historically as being a good place for Italian food. And the other areas, why they look at the areas, who are going there? Are they generally demographics? Are they in the younger age group? Are they married couples? Are they families? Are they business people? You go through all the demographics. At least it helps you in that respect. See what the demographics, is it increasing or decreasing? Walk around, look in these restaurants, get an idea of how they're trading. Are there more opening up? Are there more closing? All these things add up. Now, this is an unusual situation. Normally, when you've got, for example, a lot of Chinese moving in an area, you normally have more Chinese restaurants opening. Now, I show you now, I did a similar exercise for Sydney, and the results are a little bit different, but to give you an idea as well too. Here's Sydney. For example, the Sydney has got roughly the same amount of Italian restaurants as Melbourne has, but where the Italian areas, they got the CBD call, gives you idea how many have got Facebook pages, how many active on Instagram, how many views they're getting, gives you an idea here. So basically, look beyond the statistics there. Now, these days with the AI programs around, there's so much information out there. If you know how to use these tools, you can save yourself tens of thousands of costs of researching these. You can do this in your comfort of your own home or office. Now, this is a good example because you compare Sydney Italian restaurants with Melbourne. Now, you would normally think that Sydney, or what works out in Sydney, there's more Italian restaurants where there's more Italians. Makes sense. But when you look at Melbourne, you go, why is Carlton a more popular area with the restaurants? So it's not because there's more Italians there. It's got a long history of being Italian, and it's a well-known restaurant district in that respect. So look at all these figures. Find out how they're getting their customers. Where are they advertising? How are customers finding them? This could save you many hours of heartache and hundreds of thousands of dollars of money of setting up a restaurant at the wrong spot. Nothing's perfect, but it gives you a very good idea what is working and what is not working. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave them within this video and subscribe to this channel.